Minimum controllable airspeed, VMC, is a calibrated airspeed at which, with a critical engine inoperative, it is possible to maintain directional control. Upon reaching VMC, a sudden loss of directional control and full rudder travel will be met. In the DA-42, VMC is 68 knots indicated airspeed. VMC, under these circumstances, critical engine inoperative and windmilling, operating engine at max takeoff power, at max gross weight, banking no more than 5 degrees into the operating engine, with an aft center of gravity in the takeoff configuration on a standard day, will be 68 knots. The one we're going to be focusing on today is bank no more than 5 degrees into the operating engine. We call this zero side slip technique. So here I am in the 42 along a straight road. I'm going to simulate that we're going to lose our left engine, and the asymmetrical thrust from the right engine is going to cause us to yaw to the left. And what I'm going to demonstrate is what happens if we do not correct for rudder. So I'm going to reduce power to the left engine here. As you can see, the ball swings to the outside, and I'm going to keep my wings level here. As you can see, the tendency of the aircraft and the nose is to shift to the left, and our relative flight path is to the left of this road. Due to a number of aerodynamic factors, losing the left engine, which is our critical engine in this case, will cause us to yaw and roll due to the asymmetrical thrust produced on the right engine. If we were to have no rudder correction, we could see that the ball on the inclinometer will shoot to the outside of the turn depending on which engine is lost. And our desired flight path will be opposite of which way we would like to go. So in this case, if we lose our left engine, we desire to go straight. If we do not correct with any rudder at all, we will veer off to the left here, a yaw and roll moment. I'm going to now demonstrate what happens if we simulate that the left engine is dead. However, we're going to keep the wings level and the ball centered. So I'm going to reduce power to the left engine, and I'm going to keep the wings level, and I'm going to initially correct with right rudder to counteract asymmetrical thrust. As I keep reducing power here and keeping the wings level, we can see that the tendency of the nose is to go to the right of this road. Our flight path is still correct relative to the entire road here, but we are in a slip because our nose is shielding off the right wing's airflow. This is not ideal. If we were to lose our engine again, but keep our wings level and the ball centered, what would happen is we would be in a slipping condition. Due to this asymmetrical thrust, we have a yaw and roll moment. To counteract that, we center the ball here and level the wings. What this does to our flight path is it puts us into a slip, effectively shielding off some parts of the wing and the tail section, not letting it produce enough lift. We can see that our flight path would be correct, but we are in a slip. We are producing a lot of drag, and we are using a lot of rudder deflection. Now I'm going to simulate the left engine is dead once again. However, we're going to split the ball. Reducing power to the left engine here, the natural tendency is to yaw and roll towards the right. However, I'm going to keep the wings level, and I'm going to do up to 5 degrees of bank into the good engine while splitting the ball. As you can see, our flight path is still correct relative to the road here. As I add in a little bit more rudder, we can see that our nose is aligned with the relative wind and the flight path, and we are no longer in a slip. This is ideal. Now, if we were to keep the wings level and we would split the ball, we call this splitting the ball, what would happen is we use a little bit less rudder that was needed to fully center the ball here. We use this as right rudder in this case. As you can see, it's much less rudder deflection, and in turn, we align our nose with the relative wind and our flight path in this case. The flight path is corrected, and we use less rudder, no longer putting us into a slip, which means less drag for us. Now, if we were to bank up to 5 degrees into the operating engine, we call this raising the dead because we bank away from the dead engine, raising it into the sky. What would happen is our flight path would still be correct because we have aligned our nose with the relative wind due to the half ball slip. However, we are introducing a horizontal component of lift. Seen here is the aileron deflections. In this case, we have the right aileron up and the left aileron down. So the yoke would go towards the right. Due to this, the flight path is correct, and we are using even less rudder due to the horizontal component of lift helping to oppose asymmetrical thrust along with our rudder deflection. This is good. So why does this all matter? If we break all three scenarios down into a force diagram, we can see that we have thrust always acting forward, and we can see that yaw and roll is going to be the same due to max power in the operating engine. Now, with wings level and ball centered, we could see that we need this amount of rudder to oppose the yaw and roll. This is our slip. This is not ideal. We have lots of drag on the airframe, and we're using a lot of rudder deflection, therefore increasing our VMC speed. Now, if we have the wings level and the ball split, we can also see that thrust is always still acting forward, the same yaw and roll moment. However, we need less rudder to effectively fly straighter and have less drag on the airframe than we would if we had the ball centered. You could see it's different on each of these. We can see that our nose is aligned with the relative wind here, and it is not on the left side. And you could see the rudder deflection is much less. Now, with the 5 degrees of bank and splitting the ball, you can see that we added in this horizontal component of lift, which allows us to use less rudder to counteract this yaw and roll moment. As you can see down here, the red is going to be the yaw and roll moment. We can see that banking into the good engine, raising the dead, allows us to introduce this horizontal component of lift, effectively using less rudder. This is good for VMC. By banking into the good engine, we introduce horizontal component of lift, which works to counteract asymmetrical thrust, decreasing rudder deflection, decreasing VMC. This is ideal.